Street Fighter is one of the very first video game franchises I was ever exposed to, and I've been following it ever since I was a kid. Partially that's because I like playing games with friends, and I didn't have any siblings, so it's a good way to get some fun time in. But perhaps it could be because I'm not particularly pugnacious, so punching people vicariously via Street Fighter feels fucking fantastic. But more likely than that, it's the characters. I love all of them. I love the styles, the quips, their half-baked bullshit back histories. I love it all. I, however, couldn't make a video about all 64 because it's a long damn video. So I picked 10. My favorite 10, not the most important 10, the ones I like the most. So keep that in mind as you enjoy my top 10 Street Fighter characters. Now, the fight begins at number 10. Who's gonna start things off? DJ is a Jamaican recording artist and breakdancer who just so happens to be a world-class kickboxer. He claims he only fights so he can find inspiration for his music, but I'm not sure how beating people up on a global scale is all that inspiring. Then again, I've never done it before. As a Street Fighter character, DJ stands out with the likes of Elena, Sakura, Yun and Yang for being particularly carefree. Just look how happy he is. I used to avoid charge characters like I avoid giant pits of lava, but once I learned how charging works, I grew fond of DJ and all his kicks and the way he says, "Oh yeah!" Besides, how could you not fall in love with that beautiful, toothy as shit smile? Time to move on to the next round. Will this next character pack a proper punch? Ever try feet skating? Yeah, I don't get it either. Makoto is one of the most exaggerated fighters in all of Street Fighter. All of her moves hit like meteorites and travel about as quickly. Her walk cycle, her jump arc, and her trademark yellow Hachimaki demonstrate the purpose and weight of her actions. See, she does like everything fast except walk. She walks super slowly. Like whenever she has to use the restroom, she's probably gotta leave an hour in advance or else she'll never get there in time. In contrast, her dash is some instant transmission shit straight out of Dragon Ball Z, and her Hayate ability is like double instant transmission. Her ability to fine-tune her position and karate chop like a lumberjack makes her one of my favorites. There goes our first fighter from the Street Fighter 3. Looks like we've got two characters this time. Who could they be? The Lee brothers, comprised of Yun and Yang Lee, are in many ways the epitome of the Street Fighter concept. The Lee brothers fight for their town, skateboard and inline skate, wear sneakers beneath their traditional Cheongsam outfits, and Yun even wears a baseball cap. Yun and Yang are a blend of ancient and modern culture, strongly representing the ideals of Street Fighter. There's also all the rolling, jumping, kicking, punching, etc., and that's also pretty Street Fighter-y. If I had to choose which one I liked more though, it'd probably be Yang. Because I like inline skating. It's fun. I can't do any of that though, I'm not that cool. A strong representation of the streets and tradition. Something tells me it's about to get a little hot in here. Nowadays, we see many a rich person's kid becoming a spoiled brat. But one day in the late 1960s, Masters Sr. decided his son Ken would not share such a fate. 2 decades later, one of the greatest fighters on the planet would emerge. And Ken would be his best friend. Ryu and Ken are an interesting dichotomy, as Ryu is driven almost solely by fighting, while Ken, despite his love for competition, became a family man. I've always enjoyed how much dimension his character has, both in the canon and in his depiction of the game. He has a set of unique advancing kicks in almost every game, which allow him to mix up all of his advances, and he's got a fucking flaming Shoryuken. If this list had been created by a 10-year-old me, it'd be just 10 Kens, because that shit is totally awesome. But the best of all? He's red. And that's Ken Masters for you, everyone. Looks like this character might not be as old as the last one. Street Fighter 4 came with some awesome bad guys, but what about the bad gals? Juri is the first evil female that's not a clone. She's also the first Korean character and Taekwondo user. She's also batshit insane, and rightfully so. And Bison had her parents killed, and she's got this crazy feng shui engine thing in her eye. It's all very complicated. Fighting-wise, she's got an amazing air game with her dive kick mix-ups, and her projectiles are great at both blocking and punishing incoming shots. Juri's design is solid as her nimble and seductive nature is reinforced by her animations and spider-like outfit design. Also, let's just say that Juri's rival with Chun-Li, as well as the fate of S.I.N. and Shadaloo, is great grounds for a new Street Fighter story. Damn, is she a good fighter. Word on the street is that there's been a jailbreak recently.
1, 2,
There's quite a bit of history behind the inclusion of so many Final Fight characters in Street Fighter Alpha. Suffice to say, Cody is my favorite of the ones who made it. There's a pretty interesting part in an Udon Street Fighter comic where he knocks out Ryu like it's no big deal. Dude's powerful. He's the only Street Fighter to employ actual street fighting as his style. As such, he isn't above kicking dust, throwing rocks, or sucker punching fools. His apathetic and devil-may-care attitude appeals to my angst that I keep locked in a jail made of maturity. Yeah, he doesn't care about anything. He just wants to fight all the bad guys and responsibly return to prison. What a model citizen. I do not envy the guy sharing a cell with that man. This next character gives me chills. Ooh. Vega, dubbed Claw by the fighting game community, is kind of a strange pick for me. I had a hard time fighting him as a kid playing Street Fighter 2, so I harbored a dislike for him for the longest time. This was all reinforced by his incredibly vain and sadistic nature. As I grew up though, I understood that the narcissistic asshole villain is a Japanese archetype, and I got over it. When I first started to genuinely learn fighting games with Street Fighter 4, I learned zoning with Vega. His poke range is ridiculous, especially with his claw on, and it's fun to punish people for dashing in. Nowadays, I shamelessly Azuna drop all damn day, cause it's raining effeminate Spaniards and there ain't an umbrella for miles, baby. Where in Spain do they study ninjutsu anyways? Ding ding ding! Time for the next match. Much like Ken and Vega, Dudley was born into a wealthy family, then learned how to beat people up in some fancy way. But unlike them, he is more reserved than boisterous. Dudley is a bit of a dandy, insofar as he collects flowers between matches, but what's fighting without a reason to fight? Boxing-wise, if Balrog is the tortoise, then Dudley is the hare, possessing a healthy collection of quick combos and reaction-based specials. Much like in real boxing, he excels when his opponent is stuck in a corner and can really demolish someone if he reads their moves right. I also love that he does everything with his gloves on, including groom his curly mustache. I bet his hands are secretly tiny. Yeah, that's probably why he does that. We're climbing up to the top of the list. Who's this next one gonna be? You may have noticed by now that I have a fondness for acrobatic characters in Street Fighter, and few are more deliberately gymnastic than Adon. Ever intent on escaping his shadow, Adon's style of Muay Thai is miles apart from Sagat's, hence all the flipping and lack of projectiles. In fact, his desire to demonstrate power is borderline obsessive. In his Alpha storyline, he's purposely trying to absorb the Satsui no Hado. Dude's nuts, his laugh says it all, but damn is he fun to play. Adon's mix-up game is bonkers, and his high mobility, long-distance closer specials make him pretty scary against projectile users, whom I tend to hate. From personality to gameplay, I'd describe Adon as pointy, an attribute he takes very strong advantage of in his Super Street Fighter 4 Ultras. That shit looks like it hurts. Better check if you left the footprint, Sagat. I have always wondered how he got his hair to do that. Okay, next up is number 1. I'll give you one guess. The poster child for the Thigh Master, friend to mashing scrubs everywhere, and one of the first widely popular playable female characters in all of video games, Chun-Li is my favorite Street Fighter character by no narrow margin. I grew up in an area with a strong representation of Chinese culture and take a great interest in it. Of course, Chun-Li being Chinese is barely referenced beyond her Chi Pao, ox horns, and Chinese martial art derivative fighting style, but it still influenced at least some of my interest in her character. She's also one of the most important characters to the canon and has appeared in almost as many games as Ryu has. Now, I suppose we should address the elephant in the room. Or the elephants, as it were, being her ridiculous legs. Her legs are so inordinately muscled and massive, and yet she wields them with speed and grace. It's like using a warhammer as a rapier. It makes no damn sense, which in turn leads to her appeal. She's very fast, annoyingly so in Third Strike, and has a ton of options on knockdown in most of her games. Chun-Li also has my favorite special in the game, the extraneous and physics-ignorant spinning bird kick. I'd imagine being hit by those legs that many times would feel much akin to being sent through a garbage disposal. I don't recommend it, kids. I really don't. Now that's it for my list. I hope you enjoyed this collection of 10 fantastic characters I did pick from over 60, so if your favorites didn't make it, I apologize, but hey, I'm just glad that I could showcase these crazy, super powerful fighters and not have to actually fight any of them.
Now, fight your rival!
What? An actual challenger? Do I have to fight somebody? I don't want to do that.
Breaking news! This list of fists has a pair you've missed, about which I'm pissed! And that can only mean one thing: you're watching Tiger fucking Uppercut!
Fine. Hi, Jules. By the way, go ahead and, put the screen up.
Now, I appreciate that Todd's list contains a balanced array of fine fighters, but there's one thing it's missing: explosive dick attacks. And that's why my pick for this pugilistic prospectus is Q, a vertical slab of steroid meat wrapped in tinfoil and a trench coat. Not much is actually known about Q. It's unclear what his motivations are, where he's from, and whether or not he's even human. But when you can punch people into base elements, your actions speak volumes. A primarily defensive character, Q has a huge stamina bar and is adept at juggling opponents. While his fighting style is ill-refined and clumsy, he's a great reactive character and makes short work of those trying to put the pressure on. So Q is a man best on the defensive, but he also uses his D in other ways, like his super art, which can only be described as atomic face to crotch smash. And with moves like that, I find myself, much like Q, at a loss for words.
Well, Retro J of Tiger fucking Uppercut, thank you for that. It was very rude of you.
No problem, mate. By the way...
That's not rated S! Fuck you, Jules. Fuck you. But wait, there's more. I, right now, at this very fucking moment, am up on our visitors channel, Tiger fucking Uppercut, ultra great show, where they do kind of like a mix of Let's Play and a little bit of reviewing and a whole lot of really awesome British banter. Very blue though, so be careful if you've got like tender ear holes, you might not want them in there. But if you do, I am up on their channel right now. I challenge them to do an awesome challenge in Street Fighter where they have to do a cool thing. I'm not going to spoil it for you, but just check it out. Check out their channel, they're great, I like them. And thank you for watching the video, hope you liked it. And oh, by the way, DeCapri, honorable mention. I fucking love her. I've only been playing her for like 3 days though, so it's not fair to put her on the list. But she's bonkers. Proper bonkers.